Hello, welcome back to Pine Meadows Hobby Farm. I'm glad you showed up. My name is Jerry Hansen. I'm your host for this episode, and today we are working on a brand new well house. When I first bought the property, this is what we approached as far as accommodating or housing, sheltering the well. This dilapidated box served its purpose. And now, after living here a couple of years, it's time to create a little bit of a better home for my well. After all, water is very important for everybody. So, let's get started. This is what the well house looked like when we first set eyes on it, and this is what it looks like today. I cleared out all of the stuff. There was insulation caked in around it. Now I just have to get some bags and stuff the insulation in and take it to the dump. So I went online and I studied a little bit up on wells to find out what is, the features in which a well has to make it work. Number one, you have to have a hole in the ground. Number two, that hole has to reach water. And number three, you have to have a way to get the water out. So what you see here is the above ground features of a well. This piece right here is the actual well casing that goes down. The hole is actually drilled 66 feet deep. I have down in that well, there's a pipe that goes all the way down that well, and at the end of the pipe is a pump. It's a cylindrical pump. It's about that long, and it's about that big around. It fits down in the shaft, and to the top of that pole is a pipe, and then there's some electrical wiring that comes up out of the pipe, or next to that pipe, and junctions right here at this electrical box. The water, it then comes out through here and goes out, and we have a pressure valve right here. That pressure valve is essentially for this beast right here. This, what you see here, is a pressure holding tank. Inside of this tank is a rubber balloon. It's a big, what they've called the rubber bladder. Well, the water fills this up from the pump, putting pressure into that. Well, the bladder creates water pressure, and that pressure is preset to this switch, this electrical switch. When it reaches that pressure point, will activate this switch and actually turn the electricity off to the pump. So the pump isn't pumping all the time, so it's all hands-free automated. So when you turn the water faucet on down in the house, it's going to drain water out of this, not out of the pump. So you have so much reserve of water in this pressure holding tank that you'll be able to supply water usage throughout your home. The elevation of this tank is above the house, approximately 16 feet higher than the house. Gives us enough, even gravity feed, but you really don't need the gravity when you have the pressure. So as the pressure drops, so does this switch. It activates and turning the pump on to pump more water through. If you have, like you're watering the lawn, you've exhausted all the water out of this, then you're going to turn your pump on. The water out of the pump is going to flow in, recharge the pressure tank, and add water to your lines, because your output down line on your faucets are smaller than these lines up here, so you're going to get a reduced water flow. So the volume going in will be going in here and down to the house. When this fills up again, while your water's still running down at the house, this switch will turn off until the pressure gets low enough where it turn on again. So essentially your well is cycling off and on. So what happens now is that you have the electrical that comes into this box. This is the main cutoff switch over here, that you are able to just disconnect the power from the service panel down at your house. And the power is servicing the well. So you can disconnect right here, and you're able to service this area without getting yourself electrocuted. This particular well is running off of 220 volts. I'm not sure of the horsepower of the pump. I haven't researched that yet. I believe it's a half horse. I know the pump down in the wellhead is brand new, because when we first set sight on this property, the day we came on the property, we found the old well pump sitting next to the well house. Now we know the guy who had owned the property previous to us, died 4 years previous to us buying the property. So we know that that waterhead, that wellhead, had been replaced just before he died, because we know a little history on just before he died and how he came into some money and did some repairs and replacements here before he did. So with that said, the property sat vacant for 4 years, and so it was just unused. So in essence, we have a brand new pump down that well. Now this well was dug in 1996, so we know the year of the well. We know the water flow volume of the well based on the water reports and the water master reports, and the well produces 44 gallons or 40 gallons a minute. Our next door neighbor over there, his well is a little bit better than ours. It sits at a slightly bit a lower elevation than ours, and he's got 44 gallons a minute. We have 40, which is excellent. You can't, you can't get any better than that around here. So those are the main features of your well. Plus you've got your pipes linking the water together and your electrical lines. So it's basically these 4 features right here, which is your well. This is my new well house. You'll recognize this box as accommodating my battery bank for my solar panels and my controller and inverter for my photovoltaic system that I had when it was set up over at Acorn Acres. When I moved the tool shed and rehabituated it, we put everything in the tool shed and built an external battery bank compartment for it. And now that's all accommodating, so I had this left over. And I thought, since I needed to build a well house, I didn't want to go big and extravagant, but I wanted something functional. So I decided, I looked at this, I have it left over, and this is insulated. It's double thickness, and when I built it, and I put a 1-inch thick foam insulation in all the walls, the floor, the roof. It's completely insulated, including the doors that go on here. So this is going to help protect my well, protect my water during the next polar vortex. The last polar vortex, I broke this valve. Well, I didn't break the valve. The polar vortex that got 10 degrees below zero and this valve froze. And that's because my well house wasn't that well built and wasn't insulated at all. To get a quick fix for that, I just threw some insulation around it that I had laying around, and I put a plywood cover over those pipes and put a light bulb in those pipes to create some kind of a heating element for that environment. So you can use like a 40, 60 watt light bulb, create enough heat to keep that environment from freezing, but you have to have your pipes covered and a little bit of an air chamber around there, be able to keep that space heated. So this is going to be my new well house. What I have to do here is I've got to cut this piece off, and then I'll refabricate to make one solid door, but I'm going to join this to that door and just somehow fit them together and bolt them together, so I'll just have one door accessing this. Then I got to cut this middle piece out with a jigsaw so my tank can fit in here. Now, I've already measured this and everything will accommodate. Now I want my well to sit on the outside, because if you ever have to have your well serviced, you want the service truck to be able to back in, put up his boom, and be able to service that well. So what I'm going to do with the well sitting on the outside is I'm going to build an extra little covered enclosure for that well and insulate it as well to protect it from the elements. Primarily that little piece of water pipe that comes up out of the top is what I want to protect from the elements, because that will freeze. And so that's my new well house. Well, right now it's just primered. I'm going to put a roof on it, and you'll see later on in the video what it looks like, and completed. So we're going to paint it, put a roof on it, get it set up. I just got to drill 2 holes in the bottom and a hole in the side. The 2 holes in the bottom right over here are going to be to accommodate the water line servicing the house and the electrical line coming from the service box up to the well. And then there's going to be a hole through the side for the water pipe and the electrical to be able to accommodate the well head itself.